All right, let's talk Seattle Seahawks here for a little bit. Look, this is a team that obviously was in the news a lot earlier this offseason, bringing in Mike Macdonald to be their new head coach. A lot of good decisions when in terms of how they've set up the coaching staff and a really solid offseason. There's been a key strategy the Seahawks have been using to try and improve this football team to take a leap from the 9-8 record this last season to make it back to the playoffs and hopefully a deep playoff run. And when you dive into the numbers and the moves the Seahawks have made, it's clear what they're trying to do. Let's pull up the report. We actually compiled this data from PFF to bring about exactly what the Seahawks are trying to do. But according to what we wrote, the Seattle Seahawks finished second to last in the NFL in tackling grade in 2023, according to Pro Football Focus. Second to last is obviously never good. Most of the issues were at the safety position, where Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs graded poorly in the area. Adams had a tackling grade of 29.9, which is downright abysmal, and Diggs had a tackling grade of 47.3, which is pretty darn close to being downright abysmal. New additions such as safety Kayvon Wallace, 65.6 grade, and Rayshon Jenkins, 69.3 grade, are significant upgrades. Look, obviously, the Seattle Seahawks team, especially when you dive into the PFF, there's proof they're very, very talented. A lot of their grades at other areas, look at receiving, look at coverage, are among the top in football, even pass rush. They're top 10, top 12 in the NFL. So they're a much more talented team than I think a lot of people give them credit for, but they're clear, massive weakness was tackling, and they've done a great job addressing that weakness this offseason. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. But first, Seahawks fans in the comment section below. Obviously, a lot of big moves have happened. Some big moves are coming up, especially with the draft a few short weeks away. What is one free agent that's still out there that you think the Seattle Seahawks should go get? There's still a few big names still lurking. Curious what you guys have to say. Give us another free agent that's out there that still hasn't been signed that you think the Seattle Seahawks should pick up, and put them in the comment section below. But Miles, give me your thoughts on the Seattle Seahawks strategy as they look to take the next step going into 2024.
Yeah, Nick, I think the strategy is clear, and it's something that Mike Macdonald has really just been very good at throughout his career, and that is to bring in somebody who makes your team better in the deficiencies. And it sounds easy, but it's not always that easy to find those players when you're talking about at the right price, at the positions that they're at, and just make everything mesh together and get a cohesive unit going where everyone fits within each other, but he seems to do it a lot. And if you look at where he came from in Baltimore, he did it very well there, and that was a team that was known to be very good tacklers as well. And let's just give a couple examples. Of course, we're talking about the safety position. We look at Baltimore's safety position, two really good players. Marcus Williams, he had 4 seasons, 90 plus tackling grades in his career. Last couple seasons in that 69-70 range as well. That's a guy known as a sure tackler, very great tackler. Then the younger person on that side is Kyle Hamilton, obviously a really great player in his own right, but tackling grade can't be deficient in tackling when you want to play in a Mike Macdonald defense. Hamilton in that 66.6 range last season. So like we said, he's in there. He is good enough tackler, but also on the other side of the ball, who's somebody they brought in, talking about free agents brought in, Roquan Smith at the linebacker position, a guy who's never had lower than a 75 PFF graded tackling grade throughout his career. So Mike Macdonald's always looking for sure tacklers. That is something is a must-have, because when you play in a defense that Mike Macdonald puts out, you really have to be able to cover your area and not miss the tackles. That is very, very crucial going forward in this new scheme. So I really like in the back end of Seattle's defense, something that really can be crucial. Like, if someone gets out, you're in, isolated coverage as a safety, you miss the tackle, that's usually a touchdown. So you want to get that cleared up right away. And it seems like you did it on very good contracts as well. Neither of these guys were crazy expensive additions to this defense. I think they were able to get a quality addition to this defense. Not crazy prices, just overall very good additions, smart pickups by Mike Macdonald. I think that shows he's very good at constructing a defense, and I think that is why he'll be a great coach for Seattle.
You brought up the Roquan Smith addition to the Baltimore Ravens, adding another quality tackler to that defense. But the Seattle Seahawks actually improved their tackling, not just at safety, but at linebacker as well. Because if you look at Jordan Brooks, obviously no longer with Seattle, his tackling grade last year was 40.9. That's not going to get it done. Jerome Baker, this new Seattle Seahawks linebacker they signed from Miami, much better at 58.0. And now look, for those of you who aren't familiar with PFF's tackling grades, they're really, really harsh. So when you hear numbers and say 58, 65, how good is that? Tackling grade is really, really hard how PFF grades it compared to other areas of the game where they focus on grading. So when you hear lower numbers, it can sound a lot worse than it really is. Just focus on the deltas there, right? Jamal Adams was 30. Diggs was about 40 something. Now they're in this high 60s at the safety position. Much, much better. They've gone from being terrible to being solid. And sometimes that's all you need to take that big leap. Everyone just kind of assumes, and you say, well, how can you be the most talented superstar team in the world? Who can make the big splashiest moves that make all the headlines? So that way you have the best receiving core or the best two pass rushers or whatever it may be. But I think a lot of success in the NFL is if you have the right coach, you have the right quarterback, and you don't have any weaknesses. You're solid everywhere. That's kind of what the Chiefs are like, right? Obviously, they've got Mahomes, who's a great quarterback. They got Reed, great coach. Couple key stars, obviously, in Travis Kelce and Chris Jones. But everywhere else, they're kind of just solid. They're decent. They're okay. They don't have any weaknesses. The Patriots dynasty was essentially that. It was Belichick, Brady, and a lot of solid in most of the other positions, right? That's the history. That's the way you can achieve long-term success in the NFL. And that's exactly what Schneider has done this offseason for the Seattle Seahawks. He recognized a weakness that was going to hold the team back and did hold the team back in 2023 and did a great job bringing that up to solid, maybe even a little bit above average now. And with the rest of the talent on the Seahawks roster, this should help propel them to take a big leap in 2024 and contend once again for NFC West titles.
Yeah, Nick, and we take a look at Seattle's defense. I think the point you brought up, you have to just be solid at every position. You look at Seattle's defense on paper, you look at these names, none of these guys really jump out at you too much. But everyone you read off their name, you're like, oh, yeah, I know that guy, or I've heard that guy. Pretty decent player. No one's like, oh, this is like top end superstar on the team. But all across the board, like you alluded to, everybody is pretty solid, especially when you look at the PFF grades. Everyone's above a 60 at their position, which is very key starting level players. So I think, like you said, this is just a well-constructed defense, and I think we're going to see some big-time results in Seattle next season. Data brokers sell your information to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, email, home address, health records, even your relatives. It's all out there. That's why we use Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows us which data brokers are selling our information and automatically submits opt-out requests for us.
Cleaning up our information not only reduces the amount of that stupid spam we all get, but it also protects us from hackers who could use this information to help them access our social media accounts, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. Aura also does much more to protect us and our families from online threats. We also get features like antivirus protection, VPNs, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. That's really key. One location to get all this great stuff. It's really easy to set up, and the best of all, we get everything at one affordable price.
And you may already have one or two of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. Aura is always on doing the hard work to keep you safe so you can focus on other tasks and have peace of mind. We value our privacy and we value yours. You can go to aura.com/Saturday to start your 2-week free trial. Also, link below in the description. Again, aura.com/Saturday for your free 2-week trial.